Democratic National Convention, U.S. President Barack Obama promised to create 1 million new manufacturing jobs in his second term. Joining us now is Scott Paul. He's the president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing. Good to be. Thank you for being with us. Good to see you, Scott. You talk to me about this goal President Obama has. I mean, we've seen these headlines. They're really coming with a pretty regular clip now. These companies moving back from China. It's generating a lot of buzz. Can he achieve that goal of 1 million in the second term?
It's good to be with you, Maggie. I think he can. In fact, I think it's a relatively modest goal, achievable goal. It would run counter to what we saw last decade when American manufacturing shed about 1/3 of all of its jobs, 5.5 million jobs. But the preponderance of evidence, to me, since 2010, when we started a manufacturing recovery, shows that this can be done. The private sector is going to do most of the heavy lifting. A lot will depend on consumer demand, the value of the dollar, a skilled workforce. But I think that there are some public policies that our lawmakers could put into place to make American manufacturing even more attractive so that we'll get even more of those Made in America commitments from companies like Apple and Walmart and Maytag and GE and a lot of the others who have announced that they're bringing production back to the United States.
I want to touch on that skilled worker. When I talked to Mike Calabas there at Como, he said, I've got 3 or 4 openings, 500, 600 applicants, 4 of them maybe are qualified. When he introduced me to one of the workers on the floor, he said, this is our programmer. Not our line worker, our programmer. You know, it seems like a lot of the American workers who are out of work are just not skilled for what these manufacturing jobs are going to look like. How much of a problem is that?
Well, there is a challenge, and there'll be demographic challenges, too, because the manufacturing workforce is aging. I'm reluctant to scapegoat the workers because the job training system we have in place in this country is designed to place them in the first job, not a job that necessarily requires a lot of preparation and training up. And so it's going to take a combined effort of employers, of universities and community colleges, of federal and state governments, of job training programs to make this work. I was just visiting with some steel workers and steel makers yesterday nearby in Northwest Indiana, and they have a very aggressive program to try to train up new workers for jobs that they think will be opening up in their factories over the next decade.
Yeah, and I've heard the same thing. These business owners say, we'll do the lion's share, but we need help in terms of training. Scott, are these jobs going to be good jobs? Are they the kind of jobs we saw that we sort of relied on for manufacturing to build that middle class up again? Or are these largely non-union jobs, much lower wage-paying jobs than they were in the past?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Maggie. And the answer is both yes and no. We're seeing highly skilled union jobs keep coming to the United States. You see Ford, GM, Chrysler making major investments in their facilities here and hiring on unionized workers. But you do see benefits packages today which are dramatically different from what they were a generation ago in terms of pensions and health care and even wage rates. So there still is a premium for going into manufacturing work, particularly if it's a unionized manufacturing job. But that premium overall has eroded a little bit. There's still good jobs, and I think it's worth pointing out that some of these jobs do require a 4-year college degree, like engineering, accounting. Some of them do not. They simply require 2 years of additional training. They require good problem-solving, math and science skills, and we have to rebuild the vocational education system in the United States for manufacturing, which actually for a couple of decades was in neglect because we just weren't creating the jobs. There wasn't the demand for it. They shifted their attention elsewhere. It's time now to shift it back to manufacturing because there will be opportunities.
Another example of how we need everyone to sort of come together for a solution, and I certainly hope they can do that. It's so important. Scott Paul, thank you so much for joining us from the Alliance of American Manufacturing.